Hey cheese bags, so this is me going through the entire semester 1 instructional material, the final review thing that was given to us by the district. And so I'm just going to be going question by question. You can fast forward or rewind as much as you need. Remember, this test is 15% of your grade and you're going to be just fine, okay? So let's just start here with number 1. It says, which of the following could be a first step? And you see this and it says select all that's apply. That's their way of letting you know that you have more than one answer, okay? And so let's just look at this problem here and see what we would do first. Well, normally when I see parentheses, I know I'm going to be distributing. So that's what the very first one says, distribute 1/2 to x plus 3. Okay. The second thing says subtract 3 from both sides. Well, that would be like me doing that. Well, that's not okay. I can't do that because it's inside of the parentheses and there's outside stuff I have to deal with first. So that one's gone. It says multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. So we've learned that getting rid of fractions can be done by multiplying by the reciprocal. If I multiplied both sides by 2. So that one works. Or I can also think about it. Oops, hold on. So that one also works. There we go. And I can also think about it says divide 1/2. So if I divide by 1/2 on both sides, they would cancel out. Distribute 2/3 to the 1/2. Like, what does that even mean? That doesn't even make sense. And so the answer to this one would be F, H, and I. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 says a person took a bicycle ride and they rode for 1.5 hours at a rate of r. So I'm just going to write 1.5 r. Then they increased that rate by 2 miles per hour. They increased that rate by 2 miles an hour and they rode for 2.5 hours more. This handwriting's terrible, but that's okay because I already know exactly what I have. I have 1.5 r and I have 2.5 times r plus 2. Well, there's only the one thing that even has that as an option, and that totals 41. So there's our front page. All right, number 3. In the problem below, only one of the steps was justified with the correct property. So let's see what happened. Original problem, well, that's just an original problem. Associative property of multiplication. Well, what did I do? It looks like the first thing they did was distribute. That's not called associative property, that's the distributive property. So that one's not right. Then it looks like they took these two numbers and put them together to get -50. That's the addition property of equality. Well, I didn't add anything to both sides of an equal sign, so there is no addition property. The distributive property, well, there's no parentheses here for me to be distributing, so that one's gone. And so this last one talks about the division property of equality, which means I divided by 18 on both sides. And that is true, I did. All right, so let's spend a little bit more time dealing with this. And I also want to deal with how to bubble it because, bubbling's weird. And you guys had a hard time with it on those tests you guys had to take. So I'm going to try to help y'all out, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just write this problem as neatly as I can. X minus 4 is, and then I'm running out of room already. Let me make it smaller. All right, equals -16.8 plus 27x. So I'm going to put my line on my equal sign. All right, so I told you they were going to give you stuff with decimals because they're just gonna. So let's just deal with the parentheses first. So this 34.8 doesn't have anything going with it. But this 0.2 needs to go to everything. Well, 0.2 times x is just 0.2x. And then 0.2 times a -4, what is 0.2 times a -4? Let's see, that'd be 0.8. And then this stuff over here just stays over here. All right, so that's step 1, distribute a property. Step 2 would be getting our like terms together. So I got this and this, 34.8 and 0.2. Luckily, that adds up to a nice round number, 35. Minus 0.8, and then -11.8 plus 27x. All right, and so now I got to get everything with an x on one side and everything that doesn't have an x on the other. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 27x from both sides. And I get 35 minus 27 is 7x. And then over here on the other side, I have 0.8. I need to add 0.8 to both sides. Let's see, a -16.8 plus 0.8. Oh, wait, I already realized something. That's not 7, that's 8. I've had a long day, guys. And so that's going to be negative 16 straight. And then the last thing I have to do would be divide. So I'm going to divide by 8 and divide by 8, and I get negative 2. Well, that's where the fun starts. How do I bubble this? So it's negative 2. So everything gets its own spot. That negative, I need to bubble it in because it's negative, and then there's 2 because I bubble in because it's 2. That's it, negative 2. What's the solution for this one? I'm going to come down here and do this one. 5x minus 2 plus 2x equals 7x minus 2. All right. So there's no distributive property, so I can go straight into putting my like terms together. 5 and 2 make 7, so I have 7x minus 2 equals 7x minus 2. Well, if I look here, they have the exact same x, the exact same everything, so I know that this is an infinite number of solutions. All right, so up here, number 6, these are those things called literal equations that we did oh so long ago, but I'm going to solve for b, which means b is right here. So I'm going to start undoing things, and so I would start by writing the problem down, Okay. So d minus e is on the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply by d minus e to cancel them out. And whatever I do over there, I have to do over here, so I have d minus e. I'm trying to write neatly, I'm sorry. D minus e is getting multiplied by a. And then I've gotten rid of that, and it says minus c, so I'm going to say plus c. So I have a times d minus e plus c. Boop. Which of the following inequalities is represented by? Okay, so I have 3a plus 3 minus 6a is greater than 15. There's no distribution, so I'll go ahead and put these together. Negative 3a plus 3 is greater than 15. All right, I subtract 3 from both sides, and I get negative 3a is bigger than 12. Let's just subtract 3. And then I go ahead and divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. And I get negative 4. And then I stop and go, okay, only two of them say negative 4, but what about this symbol here? Well, that's why I have to remember that flip-flop thing. If I divide by a negative, I got to flip the sign. So that's why it's that one. Oh, look, a word problem, y'all's favorite thing. Okay, Soccer Club is planning to order a club for each one, so there's 15 members. I'm going to go ahead and write that down. That's a number, so that's probably important. It will cost $45 to design, and then an additional cost for each shirt. And I have to buy 15 shirts because there's 15 members. And it varies on what kind of shirt I get, but all of it needs to be spend no more than $135. So I need to be less than or equal to $135. So I'm going to go ahead and solve that. I'll subtract 45 from both sides, and I will get 15x. So 15 shirts altogether, after I spend the $45 for that, has to be less than 90. And I divide by 15. And I just say that whatever shirt I have, it has to be less than $6 each. Well, if I look up here, these 3 here are all $6 or less. So I'm just going to pick those. Oh, you guys can hear my dog barking. Okay. Next page. All right, so number 9. Which of the following represents the solution to this compound? So that just means that they're going to happen twice. So I just need to solve them both kind of separately. So I'm going to kind of zoom in on this one first. 2x plus 5 is less than 1. So I subtract 5, and I get 2x is less than 4. So that means x is less than 2. Okay, so I need to figure out which one looks like that. So if I were going to draw that, it would look like that, open circle with an arrow to the left. Okay, so I know I want an open circle on the 2. So there's only 2 of them that have open circles on the 2. So I'm going to get rid of everything that doesn't. So this one's out and this one's out because they have closed circles. And that one didn't have a circle on the 2 at all. And so these 2 here have open circles on the 2. But it says less than, so I'm going to be pointing to the left. Well, look, that's it right there. That's why my answer is C. If I were to solve this one over here on the right, I would get x is greater than or equal to 4. All right. A linear function has a slope of negative 2/3 and goes to the point 0, 6. What point on the graph represents the x-intercept? So x-intercept means it's on the x, so I know it's not that one or that one. It's going to either be or A. So let's just see what we have. It says it goes through point 0,6. 0,6 is 0 is x, and 6 is y. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is where I am. This is where I'm going through. And it says my slope is negative 2/3. So I'm going to go down 2 and over 3. Down 2 and over 3. And down 2 and over 3. And down 2. Down 2 over 3. Down 2. Oops, I didn't go over enough. Over 3. Down 2 and over 3. I'm at point A. Point A. The line graphed on the coordinate plane has a slope of 2 and contains points 3, 1. Okay, so y equals mx plus b. So this is my m, there's my x, there's my y. So I'm going to fill in what I know. I know that y is 1. It says so right there. M is 2, x is 3, and I don't know what b is just yet, but I'm about to find out. 1 is 2 times 3 is 6 plus b, subtract 6, subtract 6, and I found out that 1 minus 6 is negative 5, and that's my b. Well, b is a fancy way of saying my y-intercept, which means that x is 0 and y is negative 5, which is right here. So really what they're asking me for was the b. What if they weren't asking me for the b? Well, I would have this lovely equation. Y equals now 2x minus 5. And I would plug in for the x. Let's try a. I would plug in for the x 2 times a negative 3 minus 5. Because in a, x was negative 3. And I would get negative 6 minus 5, which is negative 11. And I would look over at the y and go, did I get negative 11? I did not. Just saying. If you want to go that route. Next question. What is the equation graph below? Well, this is great. Where does it cross? Well, it crosses at negative 6. So if I think about my y equals mx plus b, it begins at negative 6. So that means if it doesn't end with a negative 6, it's out. And then I got to figure out the slope, so let's get some pretty points here. Well, that's a pretty one right there. I'm going to go up 2 and over 3, 2/3. So my slope is 2/3. That's right there. They're trying to get you with this one, then this rise over run. So this is how much up and down I went. What happened here was someone just flippy-flopped and put the x on top. You won't do that. Which is the graph of 5x equals 4y plus 20. Well, I got to get this into the right format, don't I? So let's start there. So this is the equation. I need to say y equals. So I'm going to get this 20 out of the way. 5x minus 20 now equals 4y. Then I'm going to divide by 4. And I'm going to get 5 over 4x minus 5. That means it's going to cross at the negative 5. It's going to begin at negative 5. Well, if I look, that one begins at negative 4. Nope. That one begins at positive 5. Nope. This one here begins at positive 5. Nope. This is the only one that does. Let's see if its slope is 5 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look, a pretty point. Yep, that's the one. All right, next page. All right, let's see what we can see. So the first thing I notice is that it says select all that apply again. So that's where I'm going to start our lives. It's asking me which statement is true, and it says each lunch costs $4. Well, let's just see about that, shall we? So I had $40 here, and I bought one lunch, and it went down to 36. So it looks like they cost $4 a piece, which means they cannot cost $3 a piece. That doesn't even make sense. The account started with a $40 balance. Well, yeah, we just figured that out, didn't we? The student won't have any money left after eating 7 lunches. Well, 7 lunches is right here. And if I come up here, I still have money. It's 7 lunches. I have $12. The student has enough money in the account to pay for 40 lunches. Okay, well, we already figured out that they're $4 each, and I have $40. So I have $40, and they're $4 each. So yeah, I can only afford 10, not 40. So that one's out. So that one only had 2 answers. What's the equation that passes through these points? So I have a lot of work to do. I have to find the slope first. So slope is always going to be y minus y over x minus x. So let's do that first. So 5 minus 8, and then this would be 3/2 minus negative 1/2, because it was already negative. Well, 5 minus 8 is negative 3. And then a negative and a negative will cancel each other out. 3 halves plus 1 half is 4 halves, which is 2. So there's my slope, 3 over 2. And then to figure out my x and my y and my b and all that stuff, well, let's just stop for a second. I figured out the slope is negative 3 over 2. So I'm going to get rid of stuff that doesn't say negative 3 over 2. And then I'm going to look at these tables that they gave me. Okay, I got to figure out what b is, huh? Let's figure out what b is. So y equals mx plus b. I can pick either one of these, but I'm going to pick this one because it doesn't have any negatives. Y is 5. This is negative 3 over 2. X is also 3 over 2. And then that's plus b. So 5 equals negative 9 over 4 plus b. I'm going to add 9 over 4. I'm going to add 9 over 4. Boom, boom. All right, 9 over 4, that's ugly. Let's just change that to a decimal real quick. That's 2 1/4. So that's 775 is b. So I get y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 775. Let's see which one matches that, shall we? So I'm going to come up in here, and I'm going to distribute real fast. And so I have negative 3 times x, that's negative 3 halves x. And then negative 3 halves times a negative 1 half plus sign. Negative 3 halves plus a negative 1 half is, let's see, 3 times 3, that'd be 3/4. Positive 3/4 plus 8. Well, 8 3/4 is not going to give me the 775 that I wanted. So I know that's not the case. That one's right out. And I'll just kind of double check with this other one over here. It won't let me move the thing. There we go. I'm going to try this one right now too. So this would be negative, oh, what is happening now? Okay, negative 3 halves x, boop. And then negative 3 halves times negative 3 halves is positive 9/4 plus 5. I just figured that part out already when I did it right here. The 5 and then 9/4 with the 5 was 775, and that's what I wanted. That must be my answer. D. Next page. All right, so this one's one of those select all that apply guys. And it has a slope of a half and goes through points negative 6, 2, negative 6, 2. So I have to find out what the equation is. So y equals 1/2 x plus b, because they gave me that. And then let's see, y is 2, 1/2 negative 6 plus b. Let's see, half of negative 6 is negative 3. I add 3. All right, so I need things that say y equals 1/2 x plus 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, so let me get rid of all of this now and see which ones match. Okay, 1/2 x plus 5. So I got to kind of take each one of these as like, oh, I already found 1x plus 5. Yay! All right, so let's try this one. So I have y minus 6 equals, I'm going to go ahead and do 1/2 x, and then 1/2 x, and then half of that is 1. I would add 6 to both sides, and I would get y equals 1/2 x plus 7, which is not what I want. That one's out. Next. All right. Oops. There we go. Y minus 2 equals 1/2 x plus 6. So I would distribute the half, and I'd get 1/2 x. 1/2 of 6 is 3. I would add 2 to both sides, and I would get 1/2 x plus 5, which is what I want. Boop. Next. Let me erase this so I don't run out of room. Okay. Next one. X plus 2y equals 5. All right, so I would have to subtract x from both sides. 2y equals negative x plus 5. And I have to divide by 2, and that's going to be a negative a half. Okay, that's not even a half. I know I'm done. That one's out. All right, next one. X minus 2y equals negative 10. All right, when I subtract x, I subtract x. Negative 2y equals negative x minus 10. Divide everything by negative 2. And y equals, that would be a half x, so we're still good there, plus 5. That is what we want. That one's in there like swimwear. And then 1 half x plus 2 does not match, so that one's gone. So that one is done. So I ended up with G, I, and J. That one's a long one, huh? Some of these are. Some of them are. All right, what are the coordinates of the x-intercept? So, oh, it's just giving me fits, isn't it? Let me try this again. Okay, it won't let me. Okay. Let's go and erase this. There we go. Okay. So what are the coordinates of the x-intercept of this? I'm going to write it up here. So an x-intercept means that y equals 0. So 6x minus 3 times 0 equals 24. Well, 3 times 0 is just 0. So what I'm really solving is 6x equals 24. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. So my x will be 4. So I see a 4 in 2 different spots. But one of them is in the y spot. So that's not right. That one is in the x spot. So it's right. The table shows how the cost of an automobile repair depends on the hours that the repair takes. The customer spent $640, so that's why they all say equals 640. Which equation could solve for x? So I need to figure out how much each hour costs. So from 85 to 145 is an increase of 60. So that would be my slope. So that would be the thing that gets the x. So anything that says 60x can stay. And if it doesn't say 60x, it's got to go. So now I have a 50-50 shot. And I would have to figure out what my y-intercept is, or where x is 0. Well, if I'm going up by 60 every time, and I go this way, I could go down by 60. It was $85, $60 an hour. Okay, so 1 hour is 80, so I take away the 60 and I get $25. So that tells me that it's $60 an hour plus $25. This one should look pretty familiar. It says, given the graph in the equation, which statement about the slopes is correct? So they just want the question about the slopes. Okay? And so that means I have to make it say y equals. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. And I would get negative y equals negative 3x plus 12. And I divide everything by negative 1 to get y alone. And I would get 3x minus 4. So this thing has a slope of 3. What is this thing's slope? 1, 2, 3 over 1. 3 over 1. Well, that also equals 3. So they have the same slope. No. They have the same slope. So that works out well for us. All right. A linear function passes through these 2 points, and a second function is represented by what? This whole thing. It says, what is the y-intercept of the function with the greater rate of change? Well, they're just trying to be horrible. So let's just figure this one out first, okay? And so the first thing I have to figure out is the slope. So I have 10, 5, and I have negative 15, negative 5. Remember, it's always going to be the change in y over the change in x. So from 5 to negative 5 is a decrease of 10. From x to negative 15 is a decrease of 25. So negative 10 divided by a negative 25 is a positive 4/5. Okay? If I wanted to find the y-intercept for that now, I would have y equals 4/5 x plus b. I can pick either point, but I'm going to pick this one right here because there's no negatives. So 5 is my y, 4/5 times 10 plus b. 4/5 of 10 is 8, so I would subtract 8, and I would get negative 3 equals B. All right, well, is negative 3 is not even an option, so that must not be the right answer. So let's do the other one. Okay, 4x minus 3y equals 6. All right, so the other one was 4x minus 3y equals 6. Okay, so I would subtract 4x from both sides, and I would get negative 3y equals negative 4x plus 6. I divide by negative 3, and I would get 4 over 3, which is bigger than 4/5, and then negative 2. And it's asking me what is the y-intercept, so the b, for the one that has the bigger rate of change. Well, that's a fancy way of saying slope. 4/3 is bigger than 4/5, so negative 2 is my answer. Also, I knew that I never got negative 3, so I knew that it had to be the other one. Next page. Okay, so let's look at these guys. These are both asking me about perpendicular and parallel lines, okay? And so it's first one saying that line 1 passes through these 2 points, and line 2 is perpendicular to that. Well, it's asking me about slope, perpendicular slope. So the first thing I need to do is figure out my slope. And just as a reminder, slope is change in y over change in x. So I would do 8 to the negative 2, those are my y's, and that is a decrease of 10. And then from negative 4 to 12 is an increase of 16. Negative 10 divided by 16 is negative 5 over 8. Well, perpendicular just means that if it's negative, I'll make it positive. If it were positive, I would make it negative. And then I just take the fraction and I flip it upside down. So my answer would be positive 8 over 5. And so let me show you how to bubble that in, because bubbling is a thing, right? So it's positive 8 over 5. Every single symbol gets its own column. And then I would bubble in the 8, and I would bubble in the slash, and I would bubble in the 5. I can't put more than one thing on here because it doesn't know, where you want what. So just write it in order. If you feel uncomfortable with that, you could always put this in as a decimal. 8 over 5 as a decimal would be 1, let's see, 1, 8 over 5 with 3 left over, so 1.6. So I could always just put it in that way as well. All right, and then which line is parallel? Parallel means it has the same slope. So really all it's doing is asking me to find the slope of this thing. So 4x plus 8y equals 32. And so I subtract 4x from both sides. And I get 8y equals negative 4x plus 32. And then I divide by 8 everywhere. And y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. So the slope is negative 1/2. And that's the only one that has the same slope. So that finishes units 1 and 2, solving equations and linear equations. Now this is about domain and range and functions, so I think we should be okay. It says determine which ones are functions. Select all that apply. So on the left I have tables. When I'm looking for tables, I'm looking for x's or my domains not to repeat. Remember, x is domain and y is range. And so right here, none of these repeat, it's a function. But right here, 3 repeats, not a function. And here, none of these repeat, function. What about graphs? Remember, graphs is what I do, the vertical line test. So I make a vertical line through the graphs. If the vertical line hits it more than once, it's like those electrical lines, that's a dead word. Nope. But these two did pass. So this one had 4 answers. Okay. All right. Cash, maybe, needs to build 15 birdhouses for a class project. It takes 20 minutes to build each birdhouse. The number of minutes it takes Cash to build birdhouses is a function of, that is a way to say that minutes is dependent on number. So that just lets me know that the number of minutes is dependent and that the number of birdhouses is independent. Just as a reminder, independent is our x or our domain. So let's deal with that one first, okay? So how many birdhouses is he building? 15. So he can build 0, 1, 2, 3, until he gets to 15. So it's not all real numbers. It's from 0 to 15. What about, why isn't the range the set of all integers from 0 to 300, or all real numbers? Well, I can't work negative minutes, so that doesn't even make sense. All real numbers is gone. And then integers means that I can't work in between. It would be like 0, 1, 2, 3 minutes. Well, I can work 3.5 minutes. I can work 7.2 minutes. That isn't discrete, so I don't need to make it discrete. Next page. I'm trying not to get frustrated. Trying really hard. But yeah, it's just constantly dropping. So this one right here is saying h of 29. So I would write my problem, but where the x is, I'll put negative 29 plus 3. So a negative times a negative is positive. That would be 29 over 2 plus 3. Well, if I want to think about, I don't have a calculator in front of me, so there we go. 29 over 2. I'm just going to rewrite this as 6 over 2 because that is the same thing as 3. 29 and 6 make 35, so it's 35 over 2. All right, the point negative 12n is an ordered pair of this function. What is the value of n? Well, they told me what x is. It's 12, so I'm just going to plug it in. 3 times negative 12 minus 9. 3 times negative 12 is negative 30. 6 minus 9 is negative 45. So that's my answer, negative 45. So I would negative 4, 5. So there's negative. There's 4. There's 5. Cell phone company charges, oh, there it goes, charges me $45 for a line and $15 for every gigabyte. So $45 plus 15 gigabytes. So that's right here. That was done. Next page. All right, this one's talking about graph below represents the amount of profit a company expects to make from selling bracelets or whatever. According to the model, how much do they make if they sell 400? All right, so I got to figure out this graph first. So let's figure out the slope and intercept and all that stuff. So I'm beginning at negative 6, so I know that. And what's my slope? Well, let's see, a pretty point. Oh, that's pretty right there. So it looks like I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 5 over 2x. So, and I sold 400 bracelets, so 5 over 2 times 400 minus 6. Let's see, that would be 1,000 minus 6, which is 994. An apple orchard allows people to come in and pick their own apples. Customers pay $5 for the basket and 10 cents for each apple. So if I go in and, so I think about those tables we made. If I go in and get no apples, I still paid $5 for the opportunity to try. If I get one apple, I'm paying $5.10. If I get two, that's $5.20. Well, that's the only one that has that. Oh, what is the range? And that's right there. This would be my domain. This is how many apples. So there we go. Next page. We haven't dealt a lot with this. With these scatter plots, but I think we'll be okay. So describe the relationship based on the scatter plot. Okay, so let's just kind of look at this. So it's going down. So it looks like as my years get more, my time seems to go down. So if I go for, I always read it from right to left, and my years are going up, and the graph is going down. So as winning times increase, no, the winning times increase, the years increase, I always do X first. As the years increase, the winning times increase. No, they're not going in the same direction. Years decrease, winning decrease, not going in the same direction. As the years increase, the winning times decrease. Which of the following is a reasonable trend line? So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get a line in here as best I can, line of best fit. It's got a positive slope, which is what they all seem to have. It seems to cross right here at 3. So I have these two options here. So let's figure it out. So is my slope going to be 2/3? I don't know. I'm going to start here. If I go 2/3, or say 2/3, I go up 2 over 3. I am getting back to the point. So that seems to be okay, but let's just try 3 over 1 real quick, just to make sure. So if I do the other way and I do 3 over 1, I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Well, there's no graph over here at all, so yeah, that one's out. It's that one, 2/3. Next page. All right, so this one's talking about a sequence. A sequence is just like making a table. And so I'm going to go ahead and make my table here. So I don't know what my 0th term is. That doesn't make any sense. But my first term is 29. My next one's 25. My next one's 21. Looks like they're going down by 4 every time. So that's why my slope is -4. And then my 0 would be, what number would go here? Well, if I went up 4, it would be 33. That's why it's that one. This is one of those select all that apply situations. All right, so I'm going to make a table. It says an exercise program begins the first week with 30 minutes of exercise. So 0 week doesn't make any sense, but in the beginning I have 30 minutes. And then the second week, each week the daily exercise is increased by 5. So then it's going to be 35, and then it's going to be 40, which means down here it would have been 25. Okay, so let's just see what we got. This is saying that I'm going to begin the function at 30. Week 1 is 30. And then this is saying I multiplied by the function by 5 every time. Well, I didn't multiply by 5. That thing's gone. This isn't what the notation, the mx plus b that we're used to. That says 5n. That works. It's going up by 5. But that says plus 30. I don't have a plus 30. My 0 is 25. That's gone. All right. This is saying I'm going to take something and add 5 to it every time. And I'm going to start with 30. Yep, that works. This one's saying I have 5 and I'm adding 30 every time. No, I'm not. This is saying I'm starting with 25 and I'm adding 5 every time. Sure enough. Hey, that's what this one's saying too. And this one's saying my first number is 30 and I'm going to add 5 every time. So that one works. So this one had 4 correct answers. We actually did this 34 in class, but it says approximate when they're the same, and it wants the x. So the x where they're the same is right here in between -2 and -3. So we're going to estimate that as -2.5. Next page. All right, the equation of the 4 lines are given below. It says give the 2 that have no solution. Well, that's just saying they have the same slope. So if I look here, slope's the thing with the x. So all of these are ready to go, but that one. So it says I have to pick 2 equations. Okay, so this is the one I need to solve for x. Solve for y. So that is, okay. So I would subtract x from both sides, and I'd get -3y equals -x plus 9. I divide by -3, and I would get -1/3 x. So I'm just going to stop right there because that's the slope. And that's the slope of that one right there. So those are the 2 I needed to circle. It says the graph has this table and this line. How do I find the solution to the system? I'm going to take this table and I'm going to map it onto this. So -1, 6 is right here. And then what else does it say? Then it has 0, 4. All right, 0, 4 is right here. Oh, I'm using the wrong thing. Boom. It's right here. And then 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2. Which is right here. And then I'm just going to keep kind of making my line. Well, they cross right here, don't they, at 2, 0. So that must be my answer. What equation would make this system have an infinite number of solutions? So an infinite number of solutions means that everything about this would be the same. It would be y equals x plus 2. Well, the two that say y equals on the right here that don't say x plus 2, yeah, they're gone. So it's going to be one of these two over here. So I'm going to figure out which one of these is going to give me y equals x plus 2. So let's try this one. 2y equals 2x plus 4. Well, I needed to say y equals, so I'm going to go ahead and divide it by 2 and divide all the stuff by 2. 2 divided by 2 would just leave me with x, and then 4 divided by 2 would just leave me with 2. Well, that is this, so it's that one right there. Okay, next page. All right, the equation in the table represent two linear systems. Which of the following is the solution to this system? All right, well, this one's ready to go. It's already y equals mx plus b. So let's write this one over here. It looks like this thing is, see, this went down 6, and that went up 2. So negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. They have the same slope, so I know that it's going to be a funny solution. Okay? So now I just have to figure out what number's in between them. So, all right, so I have to solve for this b over here to know if it's infinite or no solution. So I would say y equals negative 3x plus b. And then I would pick a number, any number. I'll just do this one right here, negative 1 and 4. So 4 equals 3 times negative 1 plus b. 4 equals negative 3 plus b. Add 3, and I get 7, which is not what that is. So they have the same m but different b's, which means that they're parallel lines. There's no solution. What is the x-coordinate to this system of equations? Well, let's just look at this system real quick. This system can be solved with elimination. So we looked at in class how to solve elimination problems using our calculators. Remember we go to mode, we pick equations in level 1, and we put in our coefficients, and then it tells us what they are. But say it's just that kind of a day. They want me to know what x is, so I'm gonna get rid of y. If I multiply this by 4, I would get 4x minus 8y equals 20. And I could add these equations together. 3 plus 4 is 7. Those cancel. 21. Divide, and I get x is 3, which is right there. What is the y-coordinate to this system of equations? Well, I can't do it with my calculator this time because, I'm going to write in hot pink, because they're not lined up the same way. So this is going to have to be solved with substitution, and that's okay. So I know that y is the same thing as this. So in the second equation, instead of writing negative y, I'm going to do negative 0.5x plus 2. And that's going to see the same thing as 3 minus x. I just took this y out and replaced it with the things I circled. Now I have to distribute the negative. And then I'm just going to, solve it. So I'm going to get things with x's on the left, so I'll add x to both sides. Negative 1/2 plus 1 is positive 1/2. And then I'll add 2 to both sides, and I'll get 10. Excuse me, no I won't get 10. If I add 2 to both sides, I'll get 5. I am tired, y'all. Let me keep writing. So I add 2, and I will get 5. If I divide both sides by 0.5, then I get 10. So x is 10, but of course they're asking me for y, but that's okay. I have y equals half of x, so half of 10 plus 2. Well, half of 10 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7, y is 7. Okay, next page. Okay, you invited friends over to your house to watch a movie. You let each person decide if they want a snack on popcorn, which is $2.50 per person. Okay, so 250p is a thing. This one doesn't even talk, right? So I have $2.50 a person. Plus, I can do $175. $1.75 per person, and I'm going to spend $17.75. So, $2.50 for popcorn. $1.75 gives me $17.75. That's the only one that even tells me that. $2.50 for popcorn, $1.75 for each candy, and I spent $17.75. What is this talking about? That's the people who want popcorn and the people who want candy for a total of 8 people. All right. Oops. Let me erase some stuff here. Let's see what this one. Okay. So, 2 different families bought general admission tickets to the Aces game. Well, cool. One family paid $71 for 6 adults and 2 children was $71. The other family paid for 3 adults and 4 children, and they made $56.50. So, I have lots of ways I can do this. I'm going to go ahead and solve this as a system that we know how to do with elimination, just in case you want to do that your way. So I'm going to go ahead and go, I can get rid of children here by multiplying this by -2. Let's see why. So 6 times -2 is -12a. 2 times -2 is -4c. And then 71 times a -2 is a negative, let's see, 142. And then I can put those together, and I would get, here I would get -9. All right, cool. I would get -9a equals, and then I got to get my calculator out because I am tired. Let's see here. Calculator is 5650 minus 142. 5650 minus 142 is 8550. And I divide by 9s, and I get an adult ticket. 8550 divided by 9 is an adult ticket cost $9.50. I plug that back in, and I know that's $6. 6 adult tickets for $9.50 plus the 2 kids gave me $71. 6 times 9.5 is $57. Plus 2 kids is 71. I subtract 57. I subtract 57. And I get 2c equals 14. So a kid's ticket must be $7. What do they want from me? They don't want that. They want to know how much more is an adult ticket than a kid's ticket. Well, an adult's $9.50 and a kid's $7. Remember, you could have done this after you wrote your system. You could have used your calculator and just done that, mode equations, level 1. But what is the difference between these two? Well, an adult's $2.50 more. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do $2.50. So it's positive $2.50. So 2.50. Okay, next page. So if I were going to give you an equation that just said that, right, it would cross at the 4, and my rise over 1 would be 3. This one doesn't even cross at 4, so I'm going to get rid of it. The rest of these are the same line. They all start at 4 and go up 3 and over 1. So what I need to look at is this symbol. This is the less than symbol, which means that I am below the line. If I'm less than you, I'm below you. And so that gets rid of this one. It's graphed above the line. And so now I have to decide, is this thing going to be dashed or solid? Well, if I think about this symbol here, normally this is an open dot, and if it looked like this, it's a closed dot. Well, open dots put together kind of make a dotted line. And so that's why the answer is B and not C. Next page. So this is more of the same. I have $100 to spend on summer clothes. So I need to figure out, as I said, shorts cost $12.50 and tank tops cost $6.25. So I need to figure out first, how many shorts can I buy? So I would take $100, right? And I would divide it by $12.50. Figure out exactly how many shirts I can buy. Or shorts, this is shorts, isn't it? And so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do 100 divided by 100 divided by $12.50 is 8. So these two right here where it says shorts, it can only go to the 8. So I'm looking at these, the 2 in the bottom are out, gonzo, because I can't buy 16 pairs of shorts. 16, nope, cannot do it. I can buy 8 pairs of shorts, just 8. So that's why the shorts thing stops at 8. And so can I spend greater than the money I have or less than the money I have? Well, I can't spend more than I have, so it always has to be below the line. That's why it's C. This one is a system where it's asking me about different things, dotted and solid. So let's just kind of answer some good questions for ourselves first. Okay, so let's just figure out what the lines are. And so let's start with this one. It starts at -1, and it looks like I'm going down 1/3 every single time. So, well, holy cow, -1/3 x minus 1. So if it doesn't say -1/3 x minus 1, I'm getting rid of it. And so now I have these other two, and I just have to kind of like figure out, I have to solve for y. So I'm just going to pick one and solve for y real quick and see what happens. So I have 2x minus 4y is greater than 8. And I would move this over and get -4y is greater than -2x plus 8. And then I would divide by y, which would make it flip the other way. And I would get 1/2 x plus -4. Or -2. Oh, my thing's going crazy on me. -2. So, but I'm not so worried about the number so much, because if you look, all of these numbers are the same. I'm worried about the symbol. That, since I divided by a -4, and I would have to divide by a -4 as well, it flipped to less than. But if I look, everything's graphed on top of lines, so I must want it to go the other way. So I must want this one. Okay, next page. It says, which of the following is a possible solution to the system? Now, I could graph this, but we've already talked before. Graphing sucks. So it has to be both of them for it to be true. So it says y is bigger than -4. So these are all my y's. If it's not bigger than -4, I'm getting rid of it. So that gets rid of A for me entirely. And so now I'm going to figure out the rest of them. And so pick one, anyone. Here, I'll pick 6-1. So where the x is, I'll put, oops, I can totally do this. Okay, where the x is, I'll put a 6. And where the y is, I'll put a 1, because that's the x and the y they gave us. And see if that is greater than 12. So that's 18 minus 6 is greater than 12. 12 is bigger than 12. No, it's not. It's not bigger than 12. So now I have a 50-50 shot. Now I'm just going to keep going. So where the x is, I'll put -3 this time. Oops. Minus 6, and where the y is, I'll put 2 and see if that's bigger than 12. So that'd be -9 minus 12. Well, that's definitely not going to be bigger than 12, so that's out. And let's just try one more. 3 times 3 minus 6 times a -2. So that'd be 9 plus 12. Yes, that is definitely bigger than 12. All right, Jesse wants to plant a bunch of peach trees and apple trees and everything else. But what's nice about this is that I don't have to do any kind of actual math, because if you look, all of these cross the ends at the same spots. So really what I have to ask myself is, can I pay more than both lines, less than both lines? And whenever it's talking about money, I'm always going to have to be less than what I have. So it has to be below both lines. And the only one that's below both lines is A. All right, next page. So now remember, everything that's in the red, they're not asking us for that. So let's deal with this. It says determine the domain and range of this. So we have not talked about these at all yet. So -1/2 absolute value of x. If I were to graph this, it would start right here at the 0, and it would go up 1 and over 2 on both sides, like this. So what is the domain of this? Well, the domain here would be all real numbers. What is the range here? Well, the range starts at starts at 0 and goes up forever. So, oh, it's negative. I'm all that, and I was wrong. My graph is wrong. would go down 1/2 because it's negative. And so now my range starts at 0 and goes down, so y is less than 0. The rest of it's just there to make you upset. Next. So these are all absolute value graphs, and it says, given the function below, over what part of the domain is the function decreasing? Well, I always read a graph from left to right. I always read a graph from left to right. And so if I'm reading it from left to right, it goes up here, but it's going down starting here. And so right there, that's -3. So on the right side of -3, it's going down. So on the right side of -3 is what I choose. Which of the following graph represents this? Well, let's just talk about the slope part first. It's 1/2, which means I'm going to rise 1 and go over 2. So how do I figure, so let's just see what that looks like. So up 1/2, up 1/2, up 1/2, yep, that one works. This one's going up 2/1, right, that one's gone. And let's see here, this one's going up, no, that one's gone. And then this one's going up. So I have a 50-50 shot right now, just from the slope. And then we haven't dealt with this very much, but this is about transformations. And we've talked about it before, but what happens inside of the function versus what happens outside. So this means I've went to the right 3, and this thing here means I've gone down 2. Remember, that's because it's happening inside of absolute value bars. It's like it's happening inside of the function. So it went down 2. Right 3 down 2, that's right here. Next page. More stuff with transformations. So it says, this is where I started. Let's see what we can figure out. So I went to the left 2. Excuse me. So I went to the left 2. So anything that says left 2 is going to stay. Left 2. Left 2. Anyone think that doesn't say that? It's going to go. And then it went down 3. So that's why they say 3 down, 3 down. And so the only thing left to talk about is how it got reflected. Either got reflected over the y or it got reflected over the x. Well, this negative means that it's going to point down like that, which means the x is my reflector. Just so you know, it's never your y. It's just never. All right, last thing here, select all that apply. So excuse me. So what happens here is that's going to change. So as I said, we went to the left 3 and we went down 6. So that's almost like I would have left 3 down 6 is how I would write that as a, ordered pair, right? If I was starting in the middle and I was going down like that, well, left 3 down 6 is right there. Okay, so that's called a vertex, where the point moved to. And we'll talk more about that in January. The axis of symmetry is always your x. So my x is -3. X is -3. And that's it. Those are those. All right, so on our second to last page here, it's more absolute value stuff. It says which one is represented by this. So it's negative. See how it points down? My slope is down, right? So let's just figure out this slope. Looks like it's going down 2/1, down 2/1. And the reason why I say that is because both of the arrows are pointing down. So I know that it is negative. So it's -2 is where I'm starting. And then I got to deal with this vertex where it turns or where it moved. So instead of being in the middle, I went -8, and then I went up 6, right? That would be my vertex. Well, I have to think about it. Remember, what happens inside is backwards than what you think. So let's see here. Excuse me. So that's why it went 8. So I would write -8, and then it went up 6. So I would write +6. So -8, 6. Julian wants to save $10 for 8 days, and then he's going to spend $10 the other 8 days. On which days will he have $60? Well, this is just reading a graph. So this is 60 right here. This is 60 right here. So it looks like it's happening on day 6 and day 10. Last page. Okay, our last one. Julian wants to save $10 for 8 days again. $10, $10. Which of the following can be used to represent the situation? Okay, so let's just figure out our x here. Our x is always going between 0 and 16. So anything that says between 0 and 80 doesn't even make any sense. and then I am pointing downwards. So that's why it's negative. But even if I were like totally confused here, this is absolute value, which means it's always in these bars. And so it's D. There's lots of different ways. Even if you aren't 1,000% sure what it is, you can still figure it out. That is the entire review. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I apologize for all of the not editing. Stay fresh, cheese bags.